Bonjour mes amis, comment ça va aujourd'hui? You have reached the Daring to Dare, Chapter 2, Keeping Up with Tish, Part 10. This will be the last part of this chapter. We will be starting next time with a new chapter, and I can't wait. Unexpectedly, my dad took us to a Big Boys. I don't know of any Big Boys that are around today, but Big Boys was a restaurant that served big hamburgers, and I could eat. So we would get hamburgers and I think French fries, Cokes, and we all had a good time. Mom didn't have to cook, and I didn't have to stand there listening to her complaining as I was trying the dishes. So I had my eye on this strawberry shortcake. I kept looking at this strawberry shortcake. It was massive. Honestly, I think it stood that tall. It was huge. And it looked absolutely scrumptiously delicious. And my father, I guess, read all that in me. I didn't realize I was so obvious. And he says to me, would you like a piece of the strawberry shortcake? And I said, yeah, right away, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, my mother said no. She said, no strawberry shortcake. It's too expensive. And my dad said, he stood up to her and he said, she wants a strawberry shortcake. I don't care what it costs. I want her to have the strawberry shortcake. So he ordered it. And he only ordered one order, and that was for me. So my younger brother and sister, I don't think they cared. I forget what they had, but so my mom and dad watched me eat this huge slice of this strawberry shortcake. It took a while. But was it delicious? Oh, I was in heaven. But Elmira didn't want me to have it. It cost too much money. My dad said I could have it, and I thanked him for it because it really was delicious. We had some sad events happening when I was in high school, my senior year. And one boy apparently was drinking, and he was driving at night. I can't remember his name. And he wrapped the car around a pole and killed himself. And in the accident, he lost his head. Oh my gosh. When we found out in school the next day, we couldn't believe it. He was a nice kid. He really was. Did something really stupid, and it cost him his life. It was so sad. It was just another awakening of how precious life is and how something stupid like that can take it away. And then after that, there was this girl, and she was hanging around, I would say, the rough crowd at school. I certainly wasn't hanging around in it. And then, unexpectedly, she didn't come to school and never came back to school. Nobody knew where she was. My gosh, I think that was almost worse than that guy wrapping himself around the pole. At least we knew where he was. And we didn't find out till months later what happened to her. Well, we really don't know what happened to her, but they found her in a plastic bag, dead, of course. Oh my gosh. It really woke everybody up because these kids are dying. And this girl, Lord only knows what happened to her, but somebody killed her, stuffed her in a plastic bag. There were some sad times in my senior year in high school. Well, when I was 16 and I was driving, my mom and dad decided to go on a cruise on the Rotterdam. I don't think it's in service anymore, but back then it was. And I had to drive them. I think I just got my license. I had to drive them to New York, to where the Rotterdam was in port. And I had my brother and my sister with me. And I was just in total amazement at the size of this cruise ship. I mean, I had seen tall buildings, but I had never seen anything that big on water. And we waited and waited. Mom and Dad boarded, and we waited and waited. And finally, they got themselves together and came out on the deck of the ship, and we're waving, and they're waving, and there goes the ship then. It's taking off. And it was moving ever so slowly, but it was moving. And it just, I was in wonder of it. I'm like, how does that thing float? How does that thing float? And off they went. We stood there for a while, and we could still see the ship going down, but couldn't see Mom or Dad anymore, of course. But I thought, oh my gosh, this is really something. You know, my Mom and Dad were going on a trip. Of course, when they got back, oh, they loved it, except they were in a storm at sea, and it started at nighttime, so they couldn't see what was really happening outside. They were all told to get in their rooms, and nobody could see outside except, of course, the captain and the crew. But the ship was going back and forth. My parents said it was going. And then you could hear the stabling drum go, bang! And then it would go. The ship would list, and it would go, bang! And my mother said all night long it went, bang! The ship's going, bang! In the morning, the storm was still going on, but it wasn't quite as bad as in the middle of the night, and people were kind of looking out. I don't think anybody was allowed on deck, but I think people were looking out in the window areas. And my mother, absolutely, she said she almost had a heart attack because the waves were so high, and the ship is just going. My mother ran down into her room, and she was horrified. She couldn't imagine what the waves had been during the night, because the ship wasn't rocking now like it was in the middle of the night. And you know what? That scared her. My dad was okay, but that scared her, and she got sick. But I think that only happened, it was like one night and maybe half of the day, and then the storm went out. But boy, did I hear that story a couple times. That must have been frightening. So, anyway, yes, this is Tish. I'm waiting for somebody to show me that they can do this. Au revoir, mes amis. And you will hopefully look forward to a new chapter in my book. You'll see it next time. Au revoir, mes amis.